It is essential that this platform not only reflects actively, but actively amplifies the aspiration and strategic interests of developing economies. The St. Petersburg International Economic Forum's value lies in its unique capacity to bridge geopolitical divides and promote dialogue beyond the dominant narratives. It enables countries with diverse histories, economies, and political systems to find common ground in promoting trade, innovation, and sustainable development. In an era of growing polarization, the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum is a vital pillar for pragmatic cooperation.
So Paul was sent to St. Petersburg to define what is that about. What sort of significance did he mention about South Africa? And this is the same place where he has been received. For him to be able to stand and speak the way he did. Not so long ago, the very same individual who mentioned two things, when the International Court or Criminal Justice said they issued the warrant of arrest for Putin for crimes against Ukrainians, and there was BRICS that was supposed to take place in Johannesburg. Then there was a back and forth testing our relationship with Russia. The US and the EU were insisting that we should arrest Putin. Paul Mashatile was the same individual who volunteered that if he's left as a captain of the ship, he will then have to take it upon himself to arrest Putin. And I remember Medvedev responded to say, should anyone arrest Putin, we'll bomb that country. Then it took Jacob Zuma to go to Moscow and make sense of the situation, while he was already out of the government, to say to Putin, no, you don't have to come. You can send Sergei Lavrov. Years later, he made a statement that undermined BRICS by declaring that South Africa is not ready to ditch the dollar and go on the BRICS currency. That made EU and the Americans very happy about that bold statement. Now, a few weeks ago, the president of South Africa went with his landlords to Washington, D.C. Highest delegation we have never seen. The landlord never came out, meaning Johan Rupert. Big golf players, all of the elite of South Africa, to see Trump. But now, when you have to go to St. Petersburg, you send a boy from Alex to go and sit beside Putin. So, what are we saying? I've got a sense that South Africa is one of those countries that should not be trusted at the moment. In terms of St. Petersburg Forum, in terms of BRICS, we are more of the G7 lapdog. We are more in the hands of the G7. We still show the respect in the West. After all the work that has been done for the West to be uncomfortable about South Africa, meaning we're doing something good, now the West is comfortable. Have we heard from the South African government condemning anything that the West is doing? We were able to host Zelensky here. We were able to go to Trump and beg for mercy, whatever mercy, we don't know what was that mercy for. But when it's time for us to go and set the record straight, our head of state can't even go there. He sent the very same man that has been accused of overspending on the traveling budget. What is going on? Maybe you can share something. I don't know. You don't live far from Alex. So let's hear.
Yeah, I live far from Alex. I don't know what's going on in the minds of this man. I'm really, really disappointed. He has a child by the name of Tinyiko, and I'm Tinyiko. So, so I look at Papa Tinyiko fumbling in Russia. First of all, we look at his speech. Who said he must go and speak on behalf of Africa?
Everyone.
Eh? Who
Who
said
gave
that?
him the mandate?
Exactly. And then one more point, where he speaks like Putin. It's like they gave him a subject that you need to talk about SPIEF, introduce it to the world, because uh, to me, he was not talking
Was not
like
his
a South
place.
African. And you ask yourself a question, maybe they gave him a subject to talk about, and later I asked myself a question, but Putin was supposed to talk about that, and he narrated that as the session was being opened. So why is this man repeating what was said by Putin? Is he trying to buy in to say that we South Africans were also part and parcel of SPIEF after insulting SPIEF in the context of BRICS? So I really don't understand. Actually, what he was supposed to have done is to speak about the context of South Africa within SPIEF, and then also emphasize it in the areas of BRICS. Why am I saying this? Is because BRICS and SPIEF, to me, if you insult BRICS, then you have insulted SPIEF. Because if you look at what SPIEF is implementing, it's along the lines of BRICS. The principles and the opportunities are the same. So why are you coming up with, you behave like as if you are new and there's a new platform and you are introducing it, you are bringing South Africa, Africans, and then also the Latin America and Asia. Who are you to talk like that after you are misbehaving? You correct. Actually, Papa Tinyiko was not supposed to be the man who is supposed to be up there. We're not supposed to be scared of the West. Why am I saying this? After they have instructed that Putin must be arrested, South Africa was supposed to be clear that there are so many offenses coming from the West and nobody is getting arrested. You cannot use our platform to arrest somebody who is fighting for his territory, because the war between Russia and Ukraine is clear and straightforward. They are blocking the West, NATO, from dominating. So why is it so difficult for South Africa to spell that out? It's because we are compromised. And then we look at also at the issue of South Africa saying that we are not ready for the BRICS currency. It's the very same man who said that. So how do you go up there and negotiate for opportunities while you are misbehaving? Because for that only, it demonstrated that South Africa, it's not really ready. I'm convinced that South Africa is compromising itself by playing a neutral role, which is not neutral, because we know that they belong to the West.
So now, maybe for people who are watching, who do not understand, we have the G7, we have BRICS, we have SPIEF, we have the World Economic Forum. Can you break down in each, in one or two lines, just summarize, starting from the actual one, we're talking about SPIEF, then talk about BRICS, then talk about G7, and then the World Economic Forum, so that people can get the idea why you said what you are saying, and why it's so critical for countries to send individuals who will understand why we should be going into these platforms where we have to contribute or say things that will really, really bring the actual changes in our economic statuses. So you can just sum it up.
Yeah, so for SPIEF alone, it's a beautiful platform. Why am I saying that is because it provides alternative to the Western forums, which are dominating. We know well who is behind the Western forums. It's all about capitalism, neoliberalism, driven by certain individuals who don't want to give opportunity to other countries to spell out what they want. And then in there, in SPIEF, you find that the high-level political and business participation, it's allowed. You can take ministers, president, and then they be given opportunity to speak out on their experiences. I watched this, the latest SPIEF, and then I looked at how Bahrain was stating on how it develops itself. You can tell that it's not about the theory, it's about their experience, and then turn the experience into a theory and demonstrate the challenges that they have been experienced and how they have mitigated those challenges. So those are beautiful areas that one is able to tell that it's SPIEF. It's very unique. I did listen to our South African deputy president talking about how Nelson Mandela managed to transform the country from apartheid to post-apartheid. They mentioned the story of de Klerk, and they said that de Klerk was dragged into the process, not that he had a choice. Yes, those are beautiful stories that other countries may learn from one another. So it's not dictated by Western theory. It's about experience for each and every country. And then in there, we look at the Eurasia and Global South, given opportunities to talk about their stories. And then those that are sanctioned and then are given opportunity, because some are sanctioned unfairly, like Russia in the context of Ukraine. It's unfair. We know the country that is expressing serious challenges right now, Iran. Iran is not recognized. When they see the Iranians, they see enemies around the world, especially the Western countries. The strategic industry focus, those are opportunities that we need to tap into, and not by force, but by being given opportunities. And the beautiful part is that it's happening, it's taking place at St. Petersburg. That is where the Russian part is rich in culture and natural prestige. For us to use our own similar places to tap into them so that we enhance our tourism and embrace our culture and develop ourselves without looking at Western culture, because Western culture is controlling everyone. So when we look at, we compare SPIEF with the Western Forum, specifically Western Economic Forum, it's really not fair for South African to want to force to be in the space of the West. We look at what drives the Economic Forum. The Economic Forum is driven by fewer business deals. It's not open like the SPIEF, which talks about everything that is available. And then we look at the G7. The G7 is driven by geopolitics, and it's limited in commercial deals as well. You can't enter there unless if you're appointed, and it depends on who are you to be appointed. If they don't go with your blood, then they will never give you that opportunity. And then SPIEF includes the sanctioned countries, the isolated countries. You will never see it from the World Economic Forum. You will never see it from G7. And then the issue in SPIEF is that it doesn't rely on dollarization. You need to come up with your own ways. That's why we talk about multipolarity. You are given opportunity for sovereignty, but in a World Economic Forum and then the G7, it's capitalism after capitalism, where things are getting dictated. If you speak out differently, then you become their enemies. SMMEs are involved in SPIEF, but you will never see them from the World Economic Forums. It's about the elites. It's about the people who controls the world. At G7, no access at all. So you can compare these countries that are playing role from World Economic Forum and also the G7 with the countries that play roles in SPIEF, because NATO play role in West Economic Forums and also from the G7. And then with SPIEF, it's everybody is appointed, it's as recognized. I know that Russia also wanted America to play a role. If they didn't participate, it was their call not to participate, but the SPIEF is open for everyone because that's the natural, the cultural way of learning from one another and be able to develop. But you see South Africa operating somehow, and I will understand why they are doing that.
Okay. Now, while you are there, I just want to demonstrate something. Success stories of presidential grant recipient presented at SPIEF. Participants of St. Petersburg International Economic Forum were told about successful projects that have won presidential grant. The presentations took place in May 24 and 25 at the NPO Lab. The organizers of the event wanted to emphasize the professionalism of NGOs, recipients of presidential grants. This is necessary to attract new corporate sponsors, as government support is only part of the financing project. Among the initiatives presented is the Clean Games project. These are environmental teams competition in which participants receive points by completing certain tasks, for example, cleaning territory of the garbage. Bonuses are awarded for before and after photos and posts on social networks. The project has been implemented since 2014, and last year it affected 75 settlements. The organizers of Clean Games spread their experience, implemented to spread their experience with help of franchise competitions were held in India, Nigeria, Ukraine, and Armenia. Another winning project, Engineering Championship Case in Reliable Change Foundation. The purpose of the competition is to identify talented young people as well as increase of prestige of engineering professions and fuel energy complex. The foundation provides students with information, support, and organizes internships in leading companies. The project has 150 partners in total, among them Cyber, Rosneft, FGC, and UES. I'll cut it here. The reason why I had to read the success stories, I wanted to say this is one opportunity that as South Africa, we are so much in need of it. This is the opportunity that it's unique, it's different from. This is where smaller young people can get opportunities, even funding by the Russian government, or like 150 partners of these top companies. How many engineering students do we have in South Africa who are qualified, who have skills, who cannot be hired, who are sitting at home, where there's nothing happening for them? What are they doing? Collecting the 350s. This kind of platform, as you said, it's the platform that needed an individual who understands why are you being sent there. Now, here is the question that people should be asking the government. What are the success stories since they started participating in SPIEF? What are the success stories? Here they're talking about the success stories. Championship case in Reliable Change Foundation. The purpose was competition, identify young people. Which young people are we talking about in this country? Did we put measures to say these are things that we did through BRICS Bank or BRICS Games or BRICS Project? These are things that we did with the G7. These are things that we did with SPIEF. These are things that we go to World Economic Forum, or that's where they take their concubines. That's where they go and sleep with each other, men v men, women v women, or whatever the case is. We don't have success stories. We don't have things that you put in place to say, you were sent to this project, you came back. Where is the after and before? Is everything that these guys are doing measurables? So what do you think is going to happen? You come and talk like that, but you are against BRICS. But what are you saying?
Yeah.
What are we saying to the people? If South Africans were to really find out what SPIEF is, what SPIEF means to them, especially the youth, which universities that send people there, which academics that he took, from which institutions. We have a situation in this country where TVET colleges are looked down upon because by design, but that's where the money is. And projects like SPIEF, that's where we should be making this TVET prestige. Are the people, are the politicians, are these people we electing into position of powers do represent our economic challenges? Do they even understand, or is just about power?
Yeah. So I hear them saying that we have opportunity to go and learn isiZulu, and not so long we'll be able to learn isiXhosa from universities in Russia. But let's look at what is that Russia is capable of, that we can tap into. We have energy, nuclear technology, we got fertilizer supplies. And so why can't we tap into that? What is that we mentioned while we were giving a speech there? Nothing. We're giving the blah, blah, blah stories that are not adding into, because we haven't prioritized the long-term agreements in the context of SPIEF, because we are not there in BRICS at all. I think South Africa needs true leadership that is there for the people, because opportunities are out there, but they are blocking them. Why are they blocking them? Because we have a compromising behavior. We align ourselves with Westerners, and that weakens us from leveraging from SPIEF and also the BRICS. And then this is costing us geopolitically, because we can't be ourselves. We can't be ourselves at all. When we want to make decisions that favors us through the global south, we can't do that. And the opportunities are there, energy, agriculture, and global south leadership that we need to tap into, defense, finance and technology. You can look at what India has done, although they are misbehaving as well. They negotiated that they have discounted oil deals. They are able to, through the BRICS opportunities. And then you look at China. China also tapped into the opportunities, but South Africa, dololo, there's nothing to show. It's a blah, blah, blah. We need a leadership that is able to help us change the opportunities, that digital trade integrations that we can tap into, as China has done it, and especially in the context of infrastructure deals. We haven't done anything as South Africans. When we want to tap into, the man that is sitting with us who didn't leave the country as the colonizer tells us how we must breathe. That's why we ran to Trump and then go
Yes.
explain why we can't be they can't talk bad about us in the context of whites dominating the country. Let's do something, because I looked at even the number of people who visited Russia for SPIEF. We're supposed to take all the ministers, because you look at what it's SPIEF it's providing as an opportunity. It covers everything that every minister is doing. But we took few, and some we know that they can't speak out. They are so quiet that they don't know what to say, more especially when their bosses are talking. So Minister of Finance was supposed to go there, of energy was supposed to go there. And then look at what's happening with Dinel. Dinel is going down. Actually, it's gone. But we have opportunity to resuscitate Dinel through our relationship with Russia. We can't do that. We are experiencing challenges with buying expensive agricultural products from the West. But we can reduce that by tapping into the relationship with Russia and be able to produce things in a cheaper manner. But we think we can't do things for our own. We want to go to the West, and that is being stupid, because now they look at a black child as somebody who wants to be a beggar. But did you hear the deputy president speech that Africa it's a man that can stand on their own? Are we really standing on our own? And anyway, they mustn't speak for
The same guy that said he's not ready to trade with BRICS currency. He said we want to stand our own. How the hell are we supposed to do that if we have a kind of leader that he is, that he will speak against the progress? He's the enemy of the progress. You know, you made a critical point. I've requested our technicians to put the information of SPIEF as you are talking, so that people can have the contact details. There's a school's case information, there's a case in information, there's IMS information, the League of Working Professions. So all these contacts, the numbers, the emails, it's all up there. But our people did not know these things. When you mention that this is the platform, ask yourself a question. If SPIEF was not that important, why would Putin set from the opening till the closing with little movement, knowing exactly that the world is going under? There's so much chaos, because he knows part of things that are supposed to be discussed there at the aftermath of the war. After the war, what do we do? Before the war, what can we do? We now understand exactly what we're up against. But SPIEF is the future. To cut it, SPIEF is the future. And if people were to understand, as you said, from the president to the deputy, because in our government we have a deputy of a deputy of a deputy, because of this balloon pregnant cabinet that is so useless, where we have deputy of a deputy of a deputy, a cousin of a deputy. Now, if you were to have a platform like this where people understand, we have a frustrated youth. Youth in our country is frustrated because all the things that they went and studied for, of which 70% of their education is based on theory, 30% is based on practicals. At SPIEF, 90% is practicals. They're pushing for that idea. 10% is the theory. When I spoke at BRICS February last year at ICC, the professor from DUT said we need to do away with the olden way of 70% theory, 30%. And we send these people, we call them professionals. They become theoretical professionals, where you'll now need the actual artisans from the FET colleges that you were laughing at to come and actually do the work while you watch, because you are given this title of being a professional without understanding what you are doing. So The reason why we're harping on this subject so much is because that's where it starts and ends with the future of this country, where we are now part of the global network. Are we making good use of it? I don't think we do, because we elect leaders based on factions, based on funding, without assessing, is this leader going to have the best interest of the people of this country? Is this leader the best leader we can ever have to ensure that even at his retirement, you would still see what he has done? It's a serious problem. And now, if you have those weak leaders there versus the G7 dictators, they come in and tell you what to do.
Exactly.
Now you ask yourself a question to say, are all these guys at SPIEF were really at SPIEF, or they were sent by the G7 to say, go and spy and check and dilute what you're trying to do? It could happen, because SPIEF is the enemy of the G7. SPIEF talks to me and you at the ordinary level, where we have to learn and revive agriculture at school, where we talk about things that matter. The curriculum needs to speak to our people. How many graduates are sitting at home in this country? 500,000-600,000 million?
So many. That's the reason he was giving a lousy speech, because he didn't give pinpoint how SPIEF has assisted South Africa or Africa in general to move forward. He spoke about the general achievement, but we know in South Africa that actually specifically he spoke about inequality and poverty, that it's helping us deal with that, but it's exacerbating. We'd see the polarization gap between the rich and the poor is just going way two different directions. There's no way it's going to come close. The number of people who are unemployed in South Africa, it's a number that it's really embarrassing. The crisis in Africa in general, there are many that if we understand one another, that he will stand up and speak on behalf of Africa, then we'll be somewhere. But we got this leadership that it's a blockage from Africans from developing. The way I look at South African leadership, they behave in the same way as leadership in North Africa. They are just junk in maybe in the next one, maybe they go bilateral, but send the full ministerial and business delegations. It will help us to see things better. Everybody have their own lens. The Minister of Education be able to see things in from education point of view, economic like that, so that we mustn't mix things, rather than sending few people and some stupid secretaries who can't even understand what's going on. They just look at people talking, moving head up and down. There's nothing more that they can do. We need to see serious memorandum of agreements and frameworks being put together so that we be able to tap into these opportunities. We can't continue going to the West. The West is giving us nothing. We look at the documents that we read every day. World Economic Forum. For what? Because it's based on neoliberalism. We know neoliberalism failed from the onset. It never worked. It survived by manipulating other countries. The reason why Iran today is in pain is because of neoliberalism. The West doesn't want to see itself sitting without tapping for free from other people's resources, which is really unfair. I don't have more to say on this topic. It's really disgusting me, because the speech itself, it was going to its own direction, and it wasn't supposed to say what he has said. We would have written a better speech for him, so that, because we understand what SPIEF is all about and how do we contextualize SPIEF to BRICS or other way around, because that's how we should behave. That's us, but we are led by, I would say, idiots. People who can see bread is sitting there, but decide to go to a different direction. They are scared of the West. They know that when they have proper relationship with the global South, they will need to answer from the West. Hence, I was saying that when they are done with countries like Iran, they will go down to us, because once we make proper relationship with the global South, then we will be in trouble. But when we stick together, we know what we are doing. The world is watching. Even the punishment will be minimum. One day, God is going to bless us.
So would you agree that in the political framework platform, majority of the politicians lack understanding of the power that they have, of the influence and the accountability, responsibility that they have? Would you agree?
I will agree if I ask a question. Do you think the deputy president is aware of what he's doing, why he was sent to Russia instead of the president going to Russia? Because if it was me, I would have questioned, why are you sending me to another president, but you decided to go and face Trump there? So is it the issue of understanding, or is it about the issue of fear? And then when you are in fear, are you a true leader? Why can't you step aside and give opportunity to people who want to lead, because you don't want to lead? Not that they are not aware of the nonsense that they're doing. They are aware. They just want to block us from tapping into opportunities. Imagine if Mozambique and Zimbabwe take SPIEF into serious consideration, and they start becoming the serious participants there, and then they tap into those opportunities. We will start looking at Zimbabwe and Mozambique as countries that took advantage. But the advantage was ours, because we are part and parcel of BRICS, but we are not doing what we're supposed to be doing because we are scared of the West.
So are we blaming the deputy president alone without touching on who sent him there?
Everybody. The whole government from framework, it's nonsensical. It's just full of nonsense. Because how can the Minister of Economic Development be in the position to speak about development programs that have to do with education? So the whole framework is stupid.
So
it was just a few days. They should have left, and then all of them, they can go with their wives, and then wives go and enjoy the place there while they are tapping into serious matter. And then they go together with the Minister of Finance, because the Minister of Finance needs to reposition the resources that we have in the country in order to be able to do the right thing. We are coming up with new strategies every day, but they are really not working. I was looking at Gautrain going down to drain. Lots of money that is given to Gautrain to operate, but it's giving nothing back to the province and to the country in general. We look at these taxes that we are utilizing these days, the American ones. It's going down because the taxi industry is fighting the operation. They're not giving them a chance, and government is doing nothing to stop such violences that are happening among the people who are operating in the transport industry. So we're failing. We can see opportunities there, but we sit down and fail and allow it to fail. Maybe we allow it to fail because we want to privatize it. After privatizing it, we give it to our friend, and our friend owns the companies, and then we go
through
the backyard. We go through the backyard and then benefit, because you're sabotaging it for your own benefit. It's really unfair. Yeah.
You drop it and sell it for $50 like what SAA was sold for.
Exactly my point.
Okay. I think it's clear that the whole SPIEF thing was a mess. We now need to zone into the real events, because the real events happened for other countries at SPIEF. For us, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Now, we're looking at the real events of what happened. Finally, the dream of Benjamin Netanyahu came to realization, because something that he's always wanted for the past 40 years was to attack Iran. And who must do the dirty work for him? The Americans. So somebody will sit somewhere and say, no, it's by coincidence. No, it was planned, pre-planned. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. These are the things that we want to see happening. Who will be there? This is the lineup of people. But we have a relationship with Iran as South Africa. Rumor is, it is alleged that Iran contributed in us taking Israel to Hague. But when you look at, we went to bow to the master who bombed Iran last night. We don't take our serious leadership to meet a friend of Iran who supposedly is supposed to defend Iran should push come to shove. You're starting to see where South Africa is. You're starting to see South Africa for what it is, actually. While our engineer is preparing us the video of what Netanyahu has said, the statement that he has made to say, oh, congratulations to, because he put, look, we don't want to say this. America is under a serious colonization.
Mm-hmm.
America is not an independent country. America has zero morals. America has no idea what democracy is. The people who live in America are not allowed to criticize Israel. The people in America in government cannot speak against Israel. Question yourself, the Zionist movement, AIPAC. AIPAC is Israel in America, dictating to America how the poverty lines in America. Anything in America. America, it's in the cage. Those people, they live in the cage. Bad food, bad education, everything else is bad there. They all have to take their tax money and give it to this one tiny country. Where from Africa today you can walk across the land. They tell you it's Middle East. It was named to be Middle East because they were trying to shift it away from Africa. They tell you Madagascar is part of Africa where you travel for hours. But from Africa to go to Israel, you can walk. It's one piece of land. Because they wanted to separate it from the initial owners of that land. Americans have to pay their taxes to that little tiny land there. The most powerful country in the world is controlled by a tiny land like this, that all of us have to rally behind, because God gave them the land, the very same God that they don't believe in.
God.
Now we're being told that the Bible said, the very same Bible, if Christians, if South African Christians or African Christians or global Christians know that that government is shutting down churches there. Part of the Christian churches in Israel were bombed. Some of the priests were arrested. Even in the Easter, this Easter, they were not allowed to celebrate the Easters.
Yeah.
But they keep on saying, oh, these are God's chosen people. Which people? So God chose people to go around and kill people. God chose people. If we exist, it means it's a wrong God. We should not, it's not the God that we should prefer, that we can pray for. Now you start to see the games that are being played here. That, is this the actual Jews in the Bible? Maybe if you can come back and tell me that these are the same people who killed Jesus, then I'll believe, because they want to kill anything that does not look like them. That's my problem. So let's play the clip where Netanyahu is making a speech, then we can unpack with the time.
אזרחי ישראל היקרים, אחיי ואחיותיי, ממבצע עם כלביא אנחנו השגנו יחד הישגים חסרי תקדים בתולדות ישראל. אתם זוכרים שמתחילת המבצע אני הבטחתי לכם שמתקני הגרעין של איראן יושמדו בדרך זו או אחרת. ההבטחה הזו קוימה. לפני זמן קצר, בתיאום מלא ביני לבין הנשיא טראמפ, ובתיאום מבצעי מלא בין צה"ל וצבא ארצות הברית, ארצות הברית תקפה את 3 מתקני הגרעין של איראן, פורדו, נתנז ואספהאן. בכך המשיכה ארצות הברית ביתר שאת ובעוצמה כבירה את התקיפות של צה"ל והמוסד על תוכנית הגרעין של איראן. התוכנית הזו אימה על עצם קיומנו, והיא גם סיכנה את שלום העולם כולו. מיד לאחר השלמת הפעולה, הנשיא טראמפ צלצל אליי. הייתה שיחה מאוד חמה, מאוד מרגשת. הוא בירך אותי, הוא בירך את צבאנו, הוא בירך את עמנו. ואני בירכתי אותו, את טייסי ארצות הברית ואת העם האמריקני. הנשיא טראמפ מנהיג בעוז את העולם החופשי. הוא ידיד ענק של ישראל, ידיד שלא היה כמותו. בשמי ובשם כל אזרחי ישראל, בשם העם היהודי כולו, אני מודה לו מעומק ליבי, ואני יודע, אזרחי ישראל, שאני מדבר מעומק הלב של כל אחד ואחת מכם. אנחנו עומדים יחד, אנחנו נלחמים יחד, ובעזרת השם אנחנו מנצחים יחד. כלשון פרשת השבוע, עלה נעלה, כי יכול נוכל להם.
This is somebody's father and somebody's husband and an uncle and the leader of a country that just talk like, yeah. I think he's smoking cheap drugs, because if his drugs were of good quality, he would be behaving. It's unfortunate once you talk about God, people shut their thinking. They think that, yeah, you have called God, so nobody's going to question. But we have learned, some of us have learned already, that the God that the Israelites, the Zionists are calling, is not the creator. It's their God with a small g that they have created, that it's so evil in such a way that it's not scared of killing people. Because even the Bible itself is bullshit. Why I'm saying that is bullshit is because it promotes lots of nonsense, starting from me being owned by another person, being the second class of the society, or being a subordinate.
And acceptance.
Yeah, and accepting the nonsense, and then believing that they are the chosen, and then meaning that we are nothing. That is bullshit. It's them cooking up a story that promotes them. So whoever's still holding the Bible and thinking that that dogma is going to explain the way the world operates, it's failing to think. Yeah, it's really, really failing to think.
And the way he's saying it is even quoting the Torah. That
the first 5 books. Yeah.
The three places where it was presumed that the nuclear was being cooked from. They dropped the bunker bombs to say, even if there's things underneath, you know, that's one of the most expensive bombs you can make. But come to think of it, there's a radiation. Innocent people are going to die from that thing. Years to come, you know. And also, people must also understand that doing those things, the military-industrial complex, it's a gain for them. Hence, they said, the movement of one fighter jet is $10,000 US without filling it with So who makes that money? Because the taxpayers obviously are the ones that will have to finance that against their will. Just to go and deal with brown people who don't look like you, you'll find a niche, because this is what you've been doing. You found a niche on how to take down government. You found a niche on how to drop bombs. You found a joy on how, and this guy campaigned to say, I remember a video that was being played. Muslims were saying, we are going to vote for Trump because he's the man that is going to champion peace. He's the man that is going to make sure that the world is at peace, you know, Palestine, all of that. The very same man that says, chase all the Palestinians so that we can rebuild and play golf from that. They voted for him. The very same person who started bombing the Houthis, the very same person that he did this without the Congress voting for it. He took it upon himself to do it. Look, he can. He did it. And the other part, it says, when God wants to judge a nation, he gives you wicked leaders.
Yeah, true.
The unfortunate part is that the Americans are given wicked leaders, but not all Americans are in agreement with this. I mean, as I saw Bill Clinton himself coming out, Bernie Sanders coming out to say, now, they will speak like that also because they're Democrats, they're not Republicans. I'm yet to see a Republican ex-president or ex-official to speak against this. But I saw Steve Bannon said, why is all of a sudden, why is Iran our problem? Why are we now engaging in this? Is this guy being pulled in to engage? But at the same time, you listen to everything that he's talking about. Now, he was saying the G7 is not complete without the Russia. It will be fully concluded when Russia is there. When it comes to Ukraine, he said within an hour, if he takes office, how many months now? How many months now?
So
he's continuing to fund. And I don't understand this thing of saying Trump is going to be the mediator between the Ukrainian and Russia. He's not. He's actually involved in the war. How do you mediate the same thing that you are involved with?
I want to ask you a question in here because you have mentioned something significant. You said if God wants to judge a nation, they will give you a weak leader. So being evil, does that mean that you are strong? I'm asking this question because I don't think America is led by Trump or any of the previous leaders. Israel is leading.
No, it says if God wants to judge a nation, he gives you wicked leaders.
Oh, wicked, okay.
Wicked leaders.
Okay.
Leaders that are like your Netanyahu, Trump, Macron, Stemia, all these guys.
Yeah.
Because these are people that, under normal circumstances, I don't think they're ever independent. I don't think they ever think for themselves because they have the background of the people that they work for. I mean, you can isolate Zelensky, but Zelensky is as good as Macron. He's as good as Stemmer and Metz. This is the same game. So the shadow government or the men in black suits who really call the shots, they're able to select whoever they want, who will fulfill their mandate. Trump came with the ticket that is independent. As long as you are going to agree with Israel, you'll never ever be independent. You are in a different country, but you're pushing the agenda of a different country forward.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I've always, even though Thabo Mbeki was not my favorite president, but one thing that Thabo Mbeki did Said the problem of Zimbabwe might be sorted by the people in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans did not vote for me. So if Britain says there was headlines, quiet diplomacy for Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki said Zimbabweans voted for somebody in Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwean must take care of the Zimbabwean problems.
Yeah.
But
it's giving the people the power. Yeah. Yeah.
The Israel problems are taken care of by the Americans. I mean, I listened to Trump speak. He was mumbling. Oh, no, I took out Qasem Soleimani, he blew up our people. Which people?
Yes.
Look at the distance from New York to Iraq where they killed Qasem Soleimani.
He couldn't even pronounce the names of the places in Iran. It's so embarrassing that he is informed by somebody who is not even an American.
Yes, it's warmongers that are dictating to him. You see that whole cabinet and the lineup, you can tell that they gave him a list to say, these are the people. Now, we need to DM Elon Musk to say, give us some information. What's actually happening there? Elon will tell you. Elon will tell you the truth. We should write to him and ask what is actually happening there.
Yeah.
You know.
But the question is, Kokwan, did they achieve what they were looking for in Iran? Because Iran didn't sit, they evacuated everything that they thought it's important. And then now we are being told we bombed the places. Then you bombed an empty place. So the question is, did you achieve what you wanted to achieve? And you said you have been killing the scientists. We look at Iran. We have lots of highly educated people who you can't finish. So I don't know what is that Israel and America said they have achieved here.
Remember, during times of war, truth becomes the casualty.
Yeah.
During times of war, truth becomes casualty. Now, the reports you'll be getting from the Iranian position will favor Iran.
Mm-hmm.
The report you'll get from the Israelis and Europeans and Americans will favor them. Question yourself, the devastation that is in Israel, people living in train stations, in the bunkers, Africans and Indians are being kicked out, being told that this is not your country. Leave. The bunkers are meant for white, Jewish, Ashkenazi Israelis. The blacks, they are being kicked out to go. There's no airports now. There's no ports. They can't leave. They tell you that 25 people died. But they tell you that in Iraq, from Israel, from the Western media, they tell you that
wrong reporting.
600 people are already been killed.
They are lying.
Now,
the Israelites are lying.
Now,
you can tell that they are lying.
But now, during the war, you must keep up the perception to the people to say, we are winning, so that people can live in the hope. Remember, the only thing that is free, that you can give anybody, even people you hate, is hope. Hope is free. So these guys live in the hope. Now, this is going to change the whole complexion of how the world is.
Yeah.
I just wish this war came through COVID and see if COVID would have been sustained, because COVID was cut short by Putin when he went after Ukraine. Then there were COVID changes, and then eventually COVID disappeared because there was war. Yeah. Now, my concern is that people are looking at this war as something that is far away from us.
No, it's here.
That war will impact on us.
It does.
I would like to see or hear serious countries. It's just that we had this perception that when you talk of Pakistan, you're thinking of a shop in West Street. Yeah. That's when you associate Pakistanis with some little shop. But Pakistan was able to say, if Iran goes, we are next.
That's
so
true.
What do we do? So what do we do? We go straight to the fire.
Yeah.
And Kim in North Korea said, guys, I have choice. When you are under pressure, I'm going to deliver. And I'm going to deliver via Russia or via China. Whichever way. I can bring it to Pakistan, it can be taken in. And you can hit from wherever you want with my choice. You tell me what you want me to do. So we cannot be isolated as Africa. We cannot be isolated as we need to learn to educate ourselves with this conflict. I mean, half the people, they will phone me with a smartphone. Phone me, Joe, tell me what's happening, carrying a smartphone. They can't even go on Google and check the global state of affairs. When they're on TikTok, they watch jokes. When they're on TV, they watch this reality.
That's being ignorant, yeah.
It's the consumerism.
Yeah.
They're not citizens, where they will understand the actual issues of what's happening. So I would like to get people to get involved, to get to understand, because the next thing, petrol price will go up, the taxi fares will go up, the bread is going to go up. You will complain without understanding where these things are coming from.
Yeah.
My last point, I always hear people, oh, I'm not a politician. Oh, I don't like politics. Buying bread is politics. Running water is politics.
Definitely.
Your cell phone is politics. Give an example with cell phones. When I say cell phone is politics. In a Huawei phones, Google was taken out because Trump said so.
Definitely. Definitely.
Your cell phone that you buy, your iPhone 17 Pro Max, if it's there, to make that phone is cost less than 10 rands. But due to politics, you buy that phone for 100,000 because they pack all the lies on top because they know your ignorance is their wealth, is their big business. So I will urge people, watch the news, follow the shows, ask questions, go in, just do something, learn 1 or 2 pages of geopolitics. Understand, don't just chase this EFF, the squabbles between both Floyd. No, those things are there to entertain you, but there is a bigger picture. These are leaves. Look at the tree. Look at the soil where the tree is growing from. Don't worry about the leaves. When winter comes, the leaves fall off. We brush them, but the tree remains. Understand the tree. That's all I'm going to say. You can do your closing and then we'll go home.
No, there's nothing to close. The time is not on our side, but this was a learning curve, not only for us, because when I listen to you, I'm able to adjust my brain, and then more questions come so that next week we'll be able to engage better. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Okay, you
It's your time to tune in. Stories that connect where we all begin. Laughter, lessons, journeys unfold. VM Network, let the stories be told.